So I was deployed to Thailand when I was in the Australian Army. I had 150 guys under my command, and we were running a multinational training exercise with a division, a couple of 10,000 blokes from the Thai Army. During that time, we had some interesting experiences, to say the least, and I just wanted to share one of those with you today. Hi, my name's Edward Plant from Lead a Better Business, and I just want to share with you some lessons that I learned from the Army about leading soldiers around the world and how they could apply to you in business. So this training exercise with the division of the Thai Army was big. It was bigger than Ben-Hur. We were over there to run training for them and then sort of reciprocal it back where they'd teach us some things. The main level from a political agenda from it, from the Australian government and why they funded it, was to raise the level of capability in regional Asia's nations, and if you do that, the security improves, which stabilises the country a lot more, which is better for the economic region. But anyway, I was there, had 150 blokes to run training exercises, and so we had 10 days, a heap of different stands. We'd train them, they'd train us, broken down into section and platoon level groups. One of the training activities we had was a survival. So the Thais had a heap of survival training for living in the jungle, and our guys did it. It was awesome. But I remember one of them, it was dealing with the snakes and what snakes to be wary of and not to worry about in the jungle, because we were going on a 5-day jungle exercise at the end of our training. And so all our guys were in a horseshoe, ready for the Thai Master Sergeant to come out and walk them through the snake stuff. This Thai Master Sergeant walked out with some big baskets, and he'd just grab the basket and he'd dump it down in front of the guys, and snakes would just fall out and go onto the ground. These guys had nothing between them, and so there were 3 piles of snakes, and you could see the guys starting to grab their rifles by the end of it, ready to club anything that came close to them. And there were a few times where the snakes would start moving towards them, and the Master Sergeant would just come and pick them up. But he had this one snake, and he was talking through, and he said, "This is reasonably poisonous. It will probably put you into hospital. Because I've been bitten by it so many times, it doesn't have an effect on me." And one of the diggers goes, "Show us." He goes, "Oh, okay." So he grabs this snake, grabs it by the head. It only had a small head and it was a thin one. Sort of gets it a bit angry and then lets it go a bit, and the snake shoots into his arm and bites him and comes out. The guys are like, "Oh, did he just do that?" And he then showed the snake bites, and you could see where the snake had bitten him. And the guys are like, "Cool, do it again." The Master Sergeant went, "Oh, okay." So he did it again. Ended up doing it 3 times. It was crazy and cool and all those sort of things. But I was talking to the guy 3 days later, caught up with him, and I said, "Hey, Master Sergeant, how are you?" He's like, "Yeah, good. I said, "Oh, that was pretty crazy the other day." And he said, "Yeah, I actually got a bit carried away." I said, "Oh yeah, what do you mean?" He said, "Well, when I get bitten once, I get a little bit of a headache, but because my body's processed the toxins before, it's not too bad. But 3 times, I ended up having 2 days in bed. I was pretty crook." I was like, wow. So funny story, but there were some interesting lessons from that I took. So do you want to hear them? Sweet. So the first lesson was really know your capabilities and stick to them. The Master Sergeant knew he could get away with 1 bite. He'd have a headache and he knew the consequences, but he knew that he shouldn't have gone past that. He didn't stick to his capabilities and stick to them, which leads into the second lesson. He didn't say no. So there's a lot of people asking for stuff, and he just should have gone, "Yeah, no." So that's the 2. Know your capabilities and stick to them. Say no. And then the third one is don't get egged on. So he got caught up in the excitement and the guys sort of egging him on, and he did it. And they're the 3 lessons. Know your capabilities, say no, and don't get egged on. Now, how do these relate to business? Well, in business, it's really about knowing what you can and can't do. Don't take on more than you can do. Know what your capabilities are, where your strengths are, and make sure you focus on those and do them amazingly well. So instead of trying to do 20 things okay, do one thing world class. The second one in business is saying no. We get asked to do a heap of things, and the best thing you can do is say no to more. Cut out a heap of the stuff. Spend more time on those productive things. I was just talking to a client this morning, and their genius is being creative for the business. And they've just got to let go of more of the stuff that they hold on to. And the more time they spend creating, their business is going to be hugely better. Like that, hugely better. It's a technical term. And then the third one is don't get egged on. So when we've got staff, they can sort of encourage us and try and get us to do things that are good for them, but not necessarily good for our business. Could be customers. But either way, it could be our own ego egging us on. But don't get egged on in your business. So they're the three insights that I had as a leader deployed around the world with 150 soldiers from this snake charmer dude in Thailand. And I think they relate to you in business. So I just wanted to share them with you today. What I want to ask you now though is, what are you going to say no to now? As a result of that story I've just shared with you, what do you need to say no to today? I'd love to hear, so share in the comments or send us a message, and I'd love to hear. That's all I've got time for, but Edward Plant, sharing my lessons from a leader in the Australian Army.